So the first guy we're going to talk about when it comes to the NFL draft prospects, we're going to start with Adam here. It's Alijah Vera-Tucker. He's a tackle, guard. It depends on how you see him in the NFL for USC. And we'll let Adam kind of kick it off with him and give us his opinions on what the guy.
Yeah, so cards on the table. I used to know every single draft prospect for the first 3 rounds. Being on the East Coast, it's a lot tougher to watch the pro day stuff on Total Access that starts at 5:00 in the afternoon in LA.
Yeah.
They don't have the same shows they used to. Obviously, COVID has affected things. I'm a lot busier with the podcast for the Wildcats. So I know a few things, and you gave me, 3 players to get on to talk about. So, we had success taking an offensive lineman, so I figured I'd give some love to the offensive line.
Love it.
Alijah Vera-Tucker, I think he's one of the top guards in the draft. I mean, he's a big mauler type prospect. He's got a nasty side to him. He can get, if he needs to get out and run in a block, he can get pretty vertical pretty quickly. I watched a little bit of tape earlier today, just before I came on here, like a very little bit. And the few things I saw, he has an overshoot, like he kind of reaches.
Yeah.
I think as a guard, he can be saved by that as much to being a tackle. I think he's more of an inside scheme zone kind of run scheme guy. I think he's a guard. I don't think he's quite
Oh, 1 second. Your mic. I think I lost your mic. Did I lose you? Did I lose your mic?
Let me know when you can.
Yeah,
hear
there we
me.
go. You're good. You're back.
All right. Yeah, I blame Jeremy and Rogers' internet. Anyways, I don't know where I left off. I think he's a guard. I don't have his wingspan, and I think when you get into offensive linemen, wingspans is huge for tackles as opposed to guards because you're coming off the edge. His pass blocking it's all right.
Yep.
I see him as a left guard, and I think if I'm looking at teams for him, middle of the draft, the Giants could use offensive linemen.
Yep.
Saquon Barkley would love to run behind this guy. The Vikings, another team that
give them something. Just give them a little bit of offensive line help.
Yeah. And I think the other team, I don't know if he'll get to the Chargers.
Yep.
At what are you at? 15?
13, I think.
13. I think you might have to move up to get him a little bit, but if 4 quarterbacks go, that's going to push a lot of these players, especially the other 2 I'm going to talk about. That's going to push them down a bit. And there could be 4 quarterbacks taken in the first 4 and 1 more taken between 7 and 9. So he might fall to 13. I think he'd be a perfect fit in Los Angeles. I almost said San Diego.
Everyone does it. I do it 10 times a game.
Yeah. You know what? You have the pick in Herbert. You have the, I wouldn't call him a Cadillac yet. Yeah. You have the nice car. Protect it. Put the insurance on it. Protect the investment. I think the Chargers. So I see him in the mid first round grade on him, and I think the Chargers would be the best fit for him with Alijah Vera-Tucker.
Yeah. No, I watched him too a little bit. Same thing. Like I kind of got Adam. I said like, who are you picking? I just want to know the names. And so like the same thing. Like,
yeah,
I don't watch a lot of college football, mostly because I can't stand, watching a 72 to 15, 14 game. Like to me, it's not entertaining. I don't know. Like I said, there's going to be some entertaining games. Yes. You're going to have games come down the wire. Yes. I understand it, people. Mm-hmm. I get it. You don't have to get my ass about this. But at the end of the day, when you're talking about all this stuff, you're like, there's just so much to it that I'm like, don't know if that's quite the right guy for when it comes to that. But yeah, like I go, when it comes to this stuff, like I start diving into it in April. Sometimes I do, like a lot of times I used to watch like the combine and stuff. Like you said, we're older now. Can't dedicate every Saturday and Sunday. I think the missus might kill us.
No.
They're like, hey, look, I'm going to spend 12 hours a day. Obviously, there's no combine this year. It makes things a little bit more difficult. All that stuff.
Yeah, it's much easier when there's a combine. Yeah. It's one weekend. And
combines give you some stuff, right? You can see that 3-cone. You can see that 40-yard dash. I always laugh at the pro days. I'm like, oh, so you're going to judge a quarterback on how he throws a ball against no coverage to a guy who's thrown for 3 years with no pass rush in a perfect situation with no.
Thank you. I have always said quarterbacks should have to throw at the combine.
Yeah.
Because you know what? When you hit the next level, you're not throwing to guys you've been throwing to for 3 years.
No.
Thank you for agreeing. I have always, when quarterbacks don't throw, they want to wait for their pro day.
Yeah.
No, you throw the combine against guys you don't know.
And at some point when you get into all this, you're talking about guys that, like you said, you got to look at the game film at the end of the day. Like that's what it is. And we'll get into a guy later, that one of the guys I have that, it's hard to, sometimes it's harder to evaluate, right? If they're not playing a high level competition, if they're not playing, if they're not doing other things. I understand sometimes it's a little bit harder to, evaluate some of these guys. Like I understand it 100%. But at the end of the day, watching all this stuff, it's like, yeah, okay, it's hard to evaluate those guys, but it gives you kind of an idea of who they are. And when I watched Alijah Vera-Tucker, he gets on the guys, and he's kind of got like a little bit of a nastiness, I guess, in the run game. And I found he was pretty good on the move. Not as good as an offensive tackle that we'll talk about later on here. But he's not the most athletic guy in the world, but he can get out in space, and he has to find his guy and whatever, right? But I think like you said too, I think he is probably more of a guard, just because when you're out on the outside, you're kind of by yourself, and it's really easy to be like, oh, look, squirrel. If you're not completely engaged, or guys not completely right on you or pushing you or anything like that. And you get guys,
or as a rookie.
Or as a rookie, right?
You're going against guys that have been honing their craft and getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
It's a lot tougher. And a lot of tackles start inside. They learn the game, learn the footwork, learn whatever, and they move outside.
Yeah, and I like some people will say like guard and tackles are different. I understand they are completely different positions.
Yeah,
100%. I understand it. I do, but it's just like some guys, they might not have. If they get lost out there a little bit, it's hard to be on the edge. Like you're single coverage in one guy by yourself. A lot of the times, as a left tackle in the NFL, you're not expected to get that tight end help to chip block and this and that. Like
no,
you're expected to be out there to handle them by yourself. So yeah, throw him somebody at guard. Like you said, I think he's the middle to late type of thing. He'd be I think he's actually like my fourth tackle off the board when I was looking at other stuff, but he's, like I said, he's got a lot of the traits that you want. He's the 300 pounds, he's 6'4", played against good teams out there, held up pretty good from the stuff that I've watched of him. Nothing really, didn't get beat too much. Sometimes he gets a little lazy, but that will happen with offensive tackles anyways, is they'll go to engage with you, and they'll kind of like play patty cake with you, but they don't like. He's just like, okay, well, the quarterback should have thrown the ball by now.
Yeah.
No. You can't guarantee that at all. Like that's not how it works. But like I said, I think throwing him at guard is a pretty good, easy way to kind of help him along early on in the years. And like I said, somebody that needs a guard, there's lots of guys, right? You just go down through the list. The Giants could use somebody. I know everybody just wants to give all these teams with young quarterbacks more and more and more weapons. I understand it. If you got guys out there to catch the ball and get separation, it makes it easier for the quarterback, 100%. But the Super Bowl was just won by a team, because if you just put them on a plane this year on how they perform, Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady. Just as a look at the two players and who they are, that's just the way it is. Patrick Mahomes ran for literally 12,000 miles in the Super Bowl, running
508 yards.
Yeah,
is what he ran.
There you go, 508 yards, running for his freaking life, still delivering balls on a dime to guys that were dropping the balls. Yeah. Literally, the best one was the sidearm throw as he's like diving, and the guy like hits a guy in the helmet and he drops it. But like I said, you watch that. You watched against the eventual first overall pick. This is not a segue, by the way, or transition. This is just talking about him, but. Trevor Lawrence against Ohio State this year in the college football championship, he got destroyed. It's because his offensive line. It was the same thing as Patrick Mahomes. You just watched it in the two biggest games of the year when it comes to football, in both college and professional. If you can't block the guys on the other side, it doesn't matter who you have for quarterback over there. Yes, you could be a Peyton Manning and get people out there quick and shift guys and know what you're doing. Yes, that can happen. But if you don't have that extra couple seconds to let a play develop, or you're always running, it's not going to change anything. You're not going to win the game. Like, you win the game in the trenches, and that's how you win it. And a lot of these guys have to understand, for their quarterbacks that are young, build the line, build it up, make it good so they have some time to sit back there and throw and pick them apart. But